Clutch move there at a Bjorn. Does barely hold on to that fourth base. Again, I do apologize for the stream going down earlier, but it should be back up and running. To quickly catch you up, Bjorn was able to take his third base, was able to contain Kure to 3 bases, to 2 bases for as long as he could. Now Kure has finally re-expanded. The economies are looking heavily in favor of Bjorn. As Kure was re-establishing his third base, Bjorn, he took his fourth. It's getting up and running. He's up to 80 workers already, and Kure is committed. He has a larger army. Kure, he has to end the game here and now. The pressure is on the blue Terran. Again, I apologize for the connection to Twitch dying, but feels Switch, man. It should be back, though. Should be back. As we do see Kure going to be rotating around towards the bottom side. Does get another disable off, and the tank count is insane. Insanely in favor of Kure. Barely fighting out of range, though. It looks like he will barely get one more tank. Kure trying to force the issue. Does deny mining here. And looking at the units tab, we do have a tank lead for Kure. He's got the tanks on his side. He's got the Marines on his side. And yes, Bjorn, he may have 80 SCVs, but that doesn't matter. Not right now. As Bjorn, he's up against the wall. As we do see Bjorn being forced back, stuck on a 3-base economy. Kure still getting his own fourth up and running, so economically both players are pretty similar to each other. Again, the army still in favor of Kure. On top of that, he, I believe, yep, still has the Raven. Still has the Raven with his army, barely is alive. And with that, he's been able to make use of that quite effectively, break these siege lines. Drop comes in, up, trying to force some friendly fire. Does try to force him. We do pick up a medevac. Oh, big pick up there by Kure. Big pick up by Kure. As Viking is going to be shut down. Second Viking falls as well. Bjorn now with the Viking lead. Is holding. A beautiful tank line as well. Is barely holding the line there. Takes down another tank. Kure repositioning towards the north instead, looking to go for the planetary. Yeah, we do see Bjorn is distracted, and Kure, where do we go? How do we approach this? 3-3 is going to finish up in a couple of seconds. 3-3 on the way for both players. Oh, Bjorn, if you got +3 armor. Not like this, he does push forward. The boys are being pulled. We collapse on the tanks, and 3 tanks go down. Good pick up. Bjorn, he does plummeted workers, but he does reset or cut the tank down in half. And unfortunately, again, Bjorn, he did. There we go. Just now starting +3 armor. Ay, ay, ay. It's quite delayed. Tank volley is going to be going up. Zoning back the army. See both players on the cusp of maxing out. Kure, he does have the upgrade lead, only on the Marines. Important to point out that Bjorn does have the better tanks. Does have +1 vehicle. Another disable on that tank. Kure going for the third. Tank volley's going up. He does get the tank. Again, Kure just trying to choke Bjorn out here. Bjorn reestablishes his 4th base. Vikings once again, oh, they do catch a couple, but they do overextend it. Bjorn bleeding out his Vikings. No longer has the lead. And Kure just rallying everything across the map. We do have double starport on the way for that air control for Vikings and Libs. Kure is working on that next step. He's going to be pulling back. Bjorn stimming on forward. Oh, doesn't quite get the Viking. But does take control of the high ground, and from here, Kure now has to back up. A drop on the right-hand side. Tank goes down as well. Bjorn getting some good pickups. Getting some very nice pickups here. And Bjorn, he goes to the Hail Mary play. He does get across the map. Kure sees. He scans. They both scan each other. Bjorn pulls back. Kure racing back home. We don't want to force a base trade. And Kure, yeah, he gets scared into backing off. Bjorn, does he commit? We're thinking about it. That's a lot of Marines. Looking at our army tab here again, Beyond, he's got almost 100 Marines to his name. Oh my god. 98 Marines for Beyond compared to the 59 of Cure. There we go. We sim on forward. We catch an army. We catch a base. Cure out of position. CC's going to go down. We get the CC. We engage with the Marines, but we have the upgrade disadvantage. Now is not the time to fight. We did kill 21 workers, but Beyond, he does plummet in supply. He's being chased down. Fun fact, Beyond, oh god, he's so heavily overstimmed. He's racing back home. Is racing back. Cure, he pulls the trigger. He's coming with everything he has. Beyond repositioning. Taking a 5th. So is Cure. Cure's already got a 5th up and running. I mean, I guess a 4th since he just lost a base. So Cure on 4 bases. Beyond getting up to 5. Meanwhile, I assume the starports were for Vikings and Vikings and Liberators, but no, it's BC. Oh my god, we just skipped the Libs entirely and we're going for battle cruisers. Now, for those that don't know, BC is the late game TVT. Like, initially it's like bio-tank versus bio-tank, then it's about air control with Vikings and Liberators, and then it's about the battle cruiser. The BC, that is the end goal. That is the final form of Cure. Now, to be fair, when I say BC, I'm talking like mass BC. We're not there yet, but we're working on it. We're taking our first steps towards that battle cruiser count. Beyond rotating around again. He's got a more mobile army. We're back up to 91 Marines. Just mass Marine here for Beyond. Let's go. Ooh, we run into some tanks. We don't find a way in. If you remember, if you were here a couple of days ago if you were here yesterday, 24 hours ago for ESL Epic of Asia, you would have seen Beyond do the same thing against Oliveira, where Beyond went mass Marine. Despite the fact that Oliveira had a more efficient army with more tanks, he pulled Oliveira apart. Did happen yesterday, but here come the Libs. Ooh. Libs are going to be barely focused down. We hold on to the siege line. We do hold on, but again, remember, as time goes on, Cure, he's refining his army. You may think, yo, Cure, he's plummeting in supply. Like, he doesn't have a lot of army to work with. That is true, because he's purposefully leaving supply open for this, for the BCs, for a higher tank count. I mean, I say purposefully, he also doesn't have much of an economy. So, to be fair, he's running out of steam. Tanks are going down. At the same time, BCs are coming for a big counterattack, but tanks, they fall on the front line. Oh my god. And the Mass Marine, it is working. We're breaking through. 3-3 finally done here for Beyond. BC is going to get a base. But Beyond, the Marines, they still went forward. They get another tank. We got 3-4 already. And Cure, again, he can barely sustain himself. He's down to 56 SCVs. He lost a base earlier. Meanwhile, the BCs, they did kill a planetary. They're going for another. Do we have Yamato? We do not. No Yamato. Yeah, 2 BCs, that's not going to be good enough. One battle cruiser goes down. And again, Cure, without his economy, without his workers, he just cannot sustain himself. Beyond is going to be forced back for the time being. We're making 16 Marines at a time. 16 Marines at a time. That's crazy. It's a lot of minerals. But again, with 5 bases, we can afford it. For the time being, Beyond did just lose a CC, which is pretty important. It is pretty impactful. But Beyond is rotating around. He scans ahead of time. Oh, nothing quite in position. There we go. Tanks, they do siege. Beyond, he doesn't care. He pushes in. Good splits. Good initial split out of Beyond, but ooh, it does take a lot of tank shots to the face. Battle cruisers, they have arrived. They take down another tank. Yamato's on the way. More BCs as well. Again, we spoke about it, but BCs, they can be very, surprisingly efficient. Surprisingly efficient here. As we're going to teleport over. Cure, he's looking for the base. Barely misses it. Beyond, he expands towards the center of the map. He's crazy. But the BC does miss the CC. Beyond just trying to bob and weave right through the center. Towards that northern base. Yeah, steaming on forward. We catch 3 tanks. We catch, 2 tanks for free. Planetary's under fire. It's gonna go down. Cure, he was out of position. Caught completely with his pants down. We get two bases, the orbital and the planetary, and the SCVs are going to be going down at the same time. BC's doing what it can, but Beyond, in the driver's seat. Again, who needs battle cruiser when you have man with gun? Let's be real. Speaking of, yeah, we do blow up one of those BCs. Battlecruiser doing whatever it can, but now we're getting to Viking production. 6 Vikings at a time for Bjorn. We have made it. Another battlecruiser falls. We collapse on the army. The tanks are looking exposed once again. We do bleed out a lot of Marines, but again, it's just minerals. That's the thing. Like, Bjorn is so efficient with this army. Just trading minerals for gas. We catch out more tanks. And every single tank goes down. A brutal trade. Again, what was that? That was 8 tanks for 45 Marines. GG gets called, and Bjorn will take game number 1. Whew. GG. GG, well played. An insane game there out of Bjorn. And again, I do apologize for the stream going down earlier. I do apologize. Sorry, I'll just refresh that. But yeah, our connection to Twitch unfortunately did disconnect. We were still in the game, so the game continued, fortunately or unfortunately. But the game did continue on, and we were able to bring the stream back in mid-game. So I do apologize for that. I was also a little bit frazzled myself, just with what was happening. So to apologize for the interrupted game 1, but hopefully we should be okay for game 2 onwards. We should not have any more issues here. Fingers crossed, fingers crossed. As again, it's a full best of 7. Best of 7. Plenty of games ahead of us. Plenty more games to come. I'm going to have a great time trying to edit that VOD together as well. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to... I'll try to Frankenstein it together for YouTube. Feels bad, man. Feels bad. But hopefully everyone has found us again. Bjorn is winning too hard. So I was just catching up in the chat. And here we go. Spawning. Who vetoed Radzit? Cure. I see Cynical in the chat. It was Cure vetoed Radzit and Bjorn vetoed Equilibrium. Just as a fun fact. But here we go. Spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Alkione, we have the blue Terran player representing Team Liquid down in this series. But it's a best of 7, Poppy. It's a best of 7. Plenty of opportunities to come back. It is Cure. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have as opponent, we have the red Terran player representing Shopify Rebellion, leading the series 1-0. It is Bjorn. Here we go. Now, to wind it back, especially for those of you that maybe missed us at the start of game 1, Liquid Cure. So I'm just adding an alias. But it was an economic open out of Bjorn. Remember, it was a Rax expand out of Bjorn. It was a double gas opener out of Cure. Cure, with that, it led into a Cyclone drop. A Cyclone drop into the main base. Cure was able to take an economic lead. He was able to take map control, and Cure took a faster third base. Bjorn had gone for a faster tank transition. Went Reaper, Hellion into tank production. Really fast tanks, and with his tank lead, with his 4-tank push, he denied the third base, took his own third, took his own fourth, and Bjorn got ahead economically from that moment. We saw Cure attempt to bounce back, and he was able to have quite a terrifying army himself. There was a back and forth, of course, in the mid-game, but of course, Bjorn did take it in the end. With that, we're now getting into game 2. Bjorn opens up double gas. So does Cure. Despite the fact that we're loading into Alkione, and I feel like this map is known for its long late game, we don't have economic openers. No one is risking it here in game 2. So double gas openers all around means faster factories. This can lead into reactored Cyclone production, which is what we saw from Cure in game 1. This could also lead into something more old school, like a reactor on the Rax, into Reaper Hellion aggression. We have options. We could even go into a fast 1-1-1 into Banshees, for example. But again, Cyclones are quite trendy at the moment. Cyclones are very meta. Very meta in the new patch. For the time being, though, we do have our CCs on location, our first Cyclone in production here by Bjorn. We are continuing Reapers. That I'm a little bit surprised by. Okay, both players have gone up to 2 Reapers, which is normal, but Bjorn has a 3rd Reaper on the way. Very interesting. It looks like Bjorn does want to move out a lot earlier with quite a massive army here in comparison to what Cure has. Cure is working on a 1-1-1 setup, now working on the reactor, working on an add-on swap eventually, but Bjorn does have the army lead. There we go. Now going for the Tech Lab, actually. So it looks like Bjorn, once again, is not going Mass Cyclone. Looks to be the case, depending on, again, how the add-on swaps occur. But it looks like we're going for faster tanks, I assume. Faster tanks once again from Bjorn. Back at home, Cyclones underway for the time being. Bjorn chilling back at home. There it is. There's a fast tank production. So this is very similar to Game 1. It wasn't the same opener by Bjorn, but the same kind of destination for Bjorn, where we cut Cyclone production early on and we rush into tanks. Now, there's a bit of a give and take here. The downside of this kind of playstyle, just like what we saw in Game 1, is that Bjorn relinquishes map control. He's going to be stuck turtling up at home, building up his tank count. He's going to be very secure, but he's going to allow Cure to take a faster third, if Cure can figure out what's going on. Because again, Bjorn isn't going to be pushing anytime soon. We do see Cure going for a fake Cyclone drop across the map. He is reactoring out Cyclones, by the way, so Cure, just like last game, is going Mass Cyclone, at least initially, and faking out a drop this time. Medevac is pushing in. And this is going to be for scouting information, and he does get eyes on the Tech Lab. He sees the tank production, he knows, he is aware. And Bjorn, as soon as the drop gets deflected, we throw down a very fast 3rd CC. Okay, I was not quite expecting that, but it is hidden. That's what's important right now, is that the drop did not see the fast 3rd CC, so Cure may believe it is similar to the last game. He may believe that Bjorn is working towards a push, when really Bjorn is turtling and staying back at home and being more greedy and economic. Wait, what? We only go for 2 tanks? Okay. Bjorn, you have my attention. Meanwhile, Cure, he's a ride with his army. He does have Disable soon to finish up. We're going in! The tank is exposed. The tank is going to be going down. We're duping off 1 tank, and now I'm concerned here for Bjorn. Bleeding out a lot of units. And remember, Bjorn, he cut tank production. He switched off of the Tech Lab. Did switch off. Bjorn has 1 tank to defend. Let's try to push in. We do pick off a depot. A bit of miscontrol there out of Cure. He does bleed out a couple of Cyclones. 2 Cyclones go down. Yeah, a bit of a blunder and attack there by Cure. He did get the depot, but he lost a lot in the process. And it looks like Cure should not be able to break the natural. He had potential, though. Definitely had potential there. As again, there's the 1 tank in the mineral line for Bjorn. And Cure has a disable. If he was aware, if he knew, he could go for it. Looking at the vision, he saw the CC, doesn't see the lack of tank production. We're just rushing into Marines. Now we're getting back into tanks here for Bjorn. Behind this, Cure getting into his own 3rd, getting into his own production. Autoshock gets thrown down, disable on the tank. Again, this could have been done a little bit earlier. We try to push in, but we have plenty to defend. Yeah, Bjorn will hold. He will hold, he will get away with his CC. Stim is going to finish. You can see the disparity here. Stim is halfway done for Cure. Because of the add-on swap, Stim is already finishing for Bjorn. So he has a stronger Stim timing. Now he's going back into tanks, taking his 3rd base. Again, this was a moment where Bjorn was very vulnerable, but he's gotten past it. He has gotten past it. He survives. He's pushing out. But can he expand and take this 3rd? As we have been reinforcing with more Cyclones. We're back up to 5. 5 Cyclones here for Cure. Back at home now, getting back into tank production. Or now commencing tank production. The base taking a lot of damage. Can he get it? No shot. He can. The base goes down. Big pickoff. And even if Cure loses everything here, even if he loses all these Cyclones, it was worth it. As 2 Cyclones will escape. The Ravens make it out as well. That was a kill on the 3rd CC. That was huge. At the same time, auto harass across the map. We get 7 SCVs. Bjorn, he does deal some economic damage. Bjorn is ahead in workers, but he's down a base. Cure, he's taken a 3rd, and Bjorn, oh, this is a rough position to be in. restarting his third from scratch. Bearing in mind that Byun, his tank count isn't as high as it otherwise could have been because he delayed tank production for the faster third. He like a lot of his build revolved around getting a faster third base, getting faster stim, which means now Byun's army isn't as large as it otherwise could be, and he has to do some damage, but can he? Here we go, we're dropping into the natural. Turret in position, tanks, they do siege. They do siege up, 1-1 finishes up here for Byun. We have the disables, we have the auto turrets. Yeah, we can collapse on the army. And Cure, he will clean this up. Oh, ooh, just barely. Yeah, he gets both tanks, losing 3 SCVs, but that was worth it here for Cure. Killing 2 tanks, a bunch of marines. The 3 workers, a trade that Cure would take any day. Byun has to back up. Behind this continuing auto turret harass as best as he can. We can see that Cure is catching up in workers. Third base is being retaken, and Byun, yeah, non-stop drop harass. Like, there's so much pressure on Byun. And to be fair, if anyone can bounce back from this, it's gonna be Byun. Again, he's all about that speed, all about that multitasking. Moving forward with his main army. Leads out a Cyclone. You see Byun trying to bait the army within tank range. Cure is gonna be forced back. Reinforcing with the rest of his army. More importantly, Cure this entire time, the Ravens. The Ravens have been kept alive this entire game. And they've traded so well, they've gotten so much value. Drop poised to go in. Auto harass continuing here for Byun. Killing more SCVs. We do catch a tank. Now, Byun, he's even in tanks. Byun's lead right now is Marines. He does have a Marine lead. Double drop into the main base. Byun looking to engage. We do get 8, 9, 10 SCVs. We're getting so many workers. Oh my god. Byun, he will be cleaned up, but he gets 24 SCVs? Ay, ay, ay. The Marines with the auto turrets. We get 24 workers. But here we go. Curie pushes in. Boys are being pulled. Tanks are disabled. This is the moment Curie has to break in, but it looks like he barely cannot. Yeah, Byun, he is holding. Collapses on top of the tanks. Takes down one. Takes down another. And Byun, he's holding. And yes, Byun did lose a lot of workers, but he killed so many more across the map. Killing even further. Oh my, 34. 34 SCVs go down. A Cure becoming that much more all in. But alas, he doesn't break the defenses of Byun. Remember, Cure, he disabled all these tanks, but he didn't kill them. He didn't kill a single tank. They all lived. They all survived. And Cure, there's no pushing into this. Not anymore. Byun, he holds. He gets away with his third base. And now Byun has an economic lead. Now, thankfully, Cure has a fourth. He has a fourth base. He's landing it as we speak. Quickly checking, I believe Byun doesn't. Yeah, Byun, he doesn't have a 4th CC in production. So Cure can recover. He's not out of this yet. Like, Byun bounces back. Cure, ooh, gets off a medevac. Gets a full medevac. The first step. A pretty nice step here for Cure. Meanwhile, I believe he kept his Ravens alive. Ooh, he has one. He has one Raven still alive. Byun lost all of his. Another double drop towards the left. Again, remember that singular double drop into the main base of Cure from Byun, that killed 34 SCVs. That was crazy. That was insane. And I mean, that's what Byun needed. Did need that. Behind this, 3-3 is on the way for Byun. This time does not forget +3 armor, thankfully. Tanks are set up back at home. Cure getting ready for his own double drop on the right-hand side. And Byun just now getting his own 4th. And the game is settling down. Again, we're on Alcyone. Bit of a longer rush distance by ground, a larger map. And we can see that Cure, he's recovering. He hasn't recovered fully yet. He's slowly catching up in workers. He's building up his army again. He has potential with this double drop. Honestly, this 4th base is doing so well for Cure. And again, with it, is closing that gap. 3-3s on the way for both players, working on +1 vehicle weapons here for Byun, so he will have the slightly better tanks compared to his opponents. Looking at the unit tab, tank count is firmly in the lead for Byun. We spoke about it earlier, but remember, Byun, he did retain his tanks in the last fight. That's why Bjorn is so far ahead in those tanks. Likewise ahead in Marines. We can see that the one advantage that Kira is going for is Viking production. So he's going to have air control. That is something that Kira can leverage. Likewise, we still have that double drop, and it looks like we don't quite manage to get away with it. If we try to drop, there's a depot now in position. So Bjorn will have vision. As Kira rotates over, tanks are already in position though. We're going in. Disable on one tank. Not quite on the other. We do on siege. One tank falls. Bjorn able to engage. It just barely holds on to this, but we will be leading out another tank. Oh, two tanks fall. Bjorn, he stims on in though. Goes to the stim up. Brutal fight here. He'll clean up most of these Marines, but this was not it. Bjorn, he loses his entire Marine army. Again, just a little bit too confident there. Did overextend. At the same time, here comes the double drop. We catch out some of these tanks. Kira fighting back. Gets one. Gets two. Gets two tanks on the right-hand side. Kira winning and trading more efficiently on both ends. On both the left and the right. And now suddenly, Kira has a tank lead. The pendulum swings one way and then the other, back and forth between these two players. Deeper is going to be going down. Kira maintaining this position, pushing towards the fourth base of Bjorn. 3-3 just now finishing up for Kira, so he's catching up with those upgrades. And we spoke earlier about the air control that Kira had with the Vikings. Well, now we have Libs. Liberators are on the way. Kira can be that much more assertive with his army. Meanwhile, what is Bjorn doing? 16 Marines at a time. You can see, just like in the last game, Bjorn, he forgoes air control. He gives up on Vikings, gives up on Liberators, and he just goes mass Marine instead. That's just his playstyle. That's just the Bjorn way of doing things. How do you TVT? Mass Marine, Poppy. Let's go. Speaking of, we're just sending everything right through the center of the map. Kira out of position. Do we have anything at home? We do. Two tanks. We have two tanks. We have reinforcements as well. Bjorn going for a Hail Mary play. Both players are maxed out. As Bjorn rotates around, Kira, he's in position. Does keep up with the rotation. He's here at the fourth already. And this is brutal because Bjorn is on 3 bases. He's down a base, down a CC. He needs to get some damage done. As Bjorn backs off, he's looking for another way and going for a Doom Drop. Oh my god. Looking for a Doom Drop in towards one of these bases. At the same time, he gets a Viking. Does get a Viking. The drop's skirting around the edge of the map, avoiding the fourth. Could it go straight for the main? The medivacs, they make it through. There are Marines in position. We commit. 1 medevac goes down. 2 medevacs go down. 3 medevacs fall before the full unload. That was a brutal dive here from Bjorn, but he does siege. Takes care of some of the production. But it's not going to be enough. Kira, he should be able to hold on. We have Libs, we have tanks. Bjorn takes down the Liberators and some Vikings, but he gets cleaned up. He gets completely cleaned up, and you can see here Bjorn full here in that supply. Does have another army moving out once again. Kira still basically maxed out. So we're pushing, sees the army. Does spot it. 3 more starports on the way for Kira. Likewise for Bjorn as well. We're getting into our starport production. Even Bjorn knows how important air control is. Yeah, Kira peeling off some units here, going towards the right-hand side. Heading over to the right. Bjorn pushing through the center, but he gets caught out. Oh, big tank shots. Oof. Yeah, we bleed out 1. No, 2 tanks. 2 tanks go down, and Kira, he sneaks out across the map, catches an orbital, not even a planetary. In this base, it should go down. Yeah, there's no saving it. In a matter of seconds, it falls. Bjorn tried to take the goal base as well, but alas, it's also exposed. Kira doesn't go for it. He gets 18 SCVs. He doesn't know. This could have been a free base. This could have been a free base, but Kira, he does not know. He's not aware of the base. There we go. Now he scans. Rotates back around, but it might be too late. I could still get it. It's going to be close. He does get the planetary. The goal base falls. Beyond, he was triple expanding. I mean, his main did float over. Trying to maintain himself, trying to maintain his economy. A very successful push there by Cure. Meanwhile, Beyond is super maxed. By the way, both players are nearing 200 supply, but if you notice, Beyond is on 42 SCVs. He has 155 army supply. How many Marines? 114. Last game, we peaked at like 98 or 99 Marines. Here, Beyond has 114, and let's go, but we still on forward. We catch the tanks. God, that's a lot of tanks, though. A lot of tanks, and we do collapse on top of them. They're all exposed. And what is that? 10 tanks go down? Oh my god. The mass marine. We don't care about your tanks. How many was it? 13. 13 tanks go down. The swarm marines, we still on forward at the same time. Cure going for a base trade. Going for a massive base trade. What wins? 13 tanks or 150 marines? The marines, Poppy. The man with gun. We stim into the main base. We send it. All the way on top of the production. Meanwhile, across map, Curie kills the third, but he doesn't go for the main. Oh, does Beyond have enough? He's bleeding out. He's bleeding out Marines. Natural base, likewise, he's running out of steam. Beyond, he was all in. He has nothing left. This is all he has. This is Beyond's army, and Cure, he's coming back home. And again, Cure, he has mining. Cure, he has 2 bases mining. Beyond has nothing. Beyond has no economy. The tanks, they get called out. GG gets called. And Cure will tie up the series 1-1. GG. Boppy. Let's go. GG, well played. Again, Beyond, he was all in. Remember, he was super max. He had 42 workers. He was stuck at 3 base saturation. Beyond just didn't have an economy at all. It was all or nothing for Beyond, and he did a lot of damage. He caught a lot of tanks, but it wasn't enough. It still was not enough. GG, well played. Cure, he fights back. He bounces back in this series. And now we're getting into game number 3. Let's go. Silver League strats, but top 5 Terran execution. I mean, if you're familiar with Beyond, then you would know this is just how he plays. Beyond, he's very fond of a much more flexible army. So whereas some players are more tank heavy or some players are more Viking heavy, Beyond just goes mass marine. That's just how he plays. That's his style. Doesn't mean that he always does this, but he's very fond of it. Like, he can play bio tank, he can play, you know, tank Viking. Like Beyond, he can play these other styles, but he's very fond of, you know, this like higher marine count composition. It's very flexible, very maneuverable. The downside to this style of Beyond is if, you know, we're going for all these drops and we don't deal damage, which is what we saw in game 1, right? We saw Beyond try and outmaneuver Cure. We saw Beyond go for these doom drops wherever he could, but again, he was really struggling to deal damage, and he was struggling to defend, more importantly. That's the downside as well. Because Beyond had so many Marines, he has less tanks, and that means his defensive position is that much weaker. And we saw Cure pop off, killing base after base, sniping so many bases, crippling the economy. GG. But now we're getting into our next game. We're getting into game number 3 to determine who takes a lead in the series. Spawning in the top left-hand corner of Golden Aura, we have the blue Terran player representing Team Liquid. Tying it up 1-1, it is Cure. And spawning in the bottom right hand corner, we have as opponent, we have the red Terran player. Oh boy, getting proxied. The red Terran representing Shopify Rebellion, it is Beyond. Is this live? Yes, this is live. Welcome, welcome. Welcome Princey in the chat. But yes, most of our events are live. If it is a replay, then it is typically posted in the title. It usually says like replay cast in the title, and we also, of course, have the command for that as well. But yes, this is live, and here we go. We're settling on in. Cure going for a 2 racks opener, 1 back at home, 1 proxied across the map. Quite an aggressive build here. Ooh, and Bjorn is going for an economic opener. Bjorn is going for a Rax Expand. This means that Bjorn is going to be vulnerable back at home, and Cure has potential to get some damage done. Does have potential here to pop off. As Reapers are going to be amassing Bjorn with the CC on low ground. Now, with this opener, this means that Bjorn's factory is a little bit later than we otherwise would see. So, later factory, later Hellions as a result. Does mean that Cure has a window where he can pop off and he can overwhelm Bjorn. Oh, Bjorn, he's checking the right-hand side. He did check the northern location for a proxy. He didn't check the edge of the third, though. Doesn't know Reapers, they come in. They do arrive, they do shut down the CC on the low ground, and they're going for the Reaper. Ooh, but Bjorn shoots first. Bjorn does shoot first, he's holding onto the high ground, another Marine is on the way. You can see that Bjorn forced to come down here to low ground to fight for control of his natural. He will get it back up and running for a time. Oh! Good target firing there out of Bjorn. Does get a lot of damage dealt to that one Reaper. Additional Reapers are amassing. Hellions behind this Cure. He's so committed. Is quite committed here. Does pick up another SCV, but the CC does complete. Big moment here for Bjorn. It does finish. Orbital is being morphed in. He does have a pretty big economic lead. The Hellion arrives. We shut down the Reaper, and Bjorn is going to just shut this down completely. Forces Cure back. Now Cure getting his CC on location. Still rallying across with more Hellions, with more Reapers. Again, Cure, he does need to get a little bit more done. How many? 5 Reapers in total, and the 1 Hellion. Ooh, the Reapers, they stack. 2 Reapers go down. Yeah, and Cure bleeds out too much. I mean, does get some good damage done on that Hellion at least. In the follow-up, we do have a Cyclone on the way. Medevac as well for a Cyclone drop. Cure coming back in. Oh, gets the Marines. Gets the Hellion. Does get the Hellion. With the death of that Hellion, that means there's nothing left on low ground. Cure, he does deny mining. Cyclone does arrive. Cure bouncing back with this. Very nicely done. Does bounce back. Does deny mining. Rax gets a full scout of the main. Does get eyes on the Medevac drop. Yes, Cure, he reinforces with the Cyclone. He can take another fight. Oh! It's going to come down to lock-ons. Cure behind this, getting his 3rd CC in the main base. Very greedy follow-up here by Cure, but he wants to get ahead. But wants to, I should say, catch up here in the economy by taking a faster 3rd. As Bjorn is up 4 SCVs. And he's had more mules as well. So Bjorn has been muling, been making workers. Cure now moving out with a double Cyclone drop. Alien Reaper threatening that natural. So we're going to have 1 army to threaten the natural. We do have the drop to threaten the main. Bjorn, can he hold? Can he defend? Can he survive? As it looks like we do have some units in position here. Yeah, Bjorn, he should respond. Oh. Yeah, forces back the drop. We're sold here at the natural, and whew, the game is going to be settling from here. Bjorn is going to be slightly behind with his 3rd base. It is halfway done. Meanwhile, Cure's is finishing. So Cure, he kind of established his 3rd a little bit faster. Meanwhile, Cure has been massing Cyclones. He's been reactivating out Cyclones this entire time. Oh, he does lay the CC. Bjorn, a little bit too close to the edge there, is punished for it. So his base is delayed even further. Cure, he could do it again. He wants it. Oh, he wants it. He wants the SCV. Up, and he gets it. Gets another worker here. Very annoying, very frustrating here for Bjorn. Meanwhile, Cure happily just making more workers. His base now in orbital. He gets another SCV. No shot. He gets a 3rd. 3rd SCV goes down. Ay, ay, ay. No shot. Can we get a 4th? Not quite. Not quite. As finally it does finish. We trade a Cyclone for a Cyclone. Finally, Cure is going to back off. And Bjorn can start up his orbital. Behind this, getting into tank production, Stim has been prioritized. Or Stim is being worked on here by Bjorn. And Cure now gets into his own tank production as well. Now, how many Cyclones do we have? Cure, he's on 6. 6 Cyclones for Cure. We have an even Raven count, third base being landed on location. With all these Cyclones, we do have map control. And we have plenty to defend here. Bjorn has to be very careful with those Ravens. We have a Marine drop on the right. Raven harassed towards the left. Cure, he has caught up in workers. Now his muling is hard out here at the third. So the pressure is now on Bjorn. Bjorn knows that his third is a lot later than it should be. So we need to kill some workers here. Here we go, Autors they come in. Quick reaction out of Cure. Very nice reaction. One SCV goes down, but does pull away. At the same time, we boost into the main base. Remember, we do have Stim. We have Cyclones. The lock-on the medevac. Medevac goes down. The Marines, they get shut down. Clean defense here by Cure. He will bleed out 2 SCVs, but well worth it for the Blue Terran. Does shut Bjorn down. Now, at least the Ravens are still alive, but did I speak to... Okay, we're good. Ravens are still alive. They can still threaten the natural. There's now a missile turret in position. Third base has been spotted. Turret's doing what it can. The harass does continue. We still on forward. Ooh. The Ravens do escape. We deny more mining here at the natural. And again, we're just easing into Biotank. 4th CC already on the way for Cure. We'll see when Bjorn throws his own down. Also, do get a couple more workers. Late reaction here by Cure. 5 SCVs go down. Oh my god. Pretty good damage. Very nice damage, actually. 5 workers do fall. The Ravens, they're still alive. Can still keep going. One drop does get shut down. Medevac got shut down. Oh, let's try to push in. Is that a medevac? No, it's Raven, by the way. Okay. I was trying to figure out what that was. Was a Raven heading into the main? Was picked off. Meanwhile, Cure pushing towards the third base of Bjorn, but pushing up this ramp is not going to happen. The high ground, the defensive position is just a little bit too good. Yeah, Cure, he has to back off. Bjorn now getting his 4th on location. And this is the difficult thing about Goldenrod. Talking about the maps a little bit, the rush distance by ground is actually quite short. It's a very short rush distance by ground, but these ramps and these choke points are brutal. Pushing up this ramp into the 4th or here towards the 3rd is a difficult thing to do. We scan. Bjorn out of position. Is rotating over. He pulls the boys away. Cure, he finds a way up the ramp. And he's going for the base. Ooh, won't quite get it. Gets 3 SCVs and denies mining here at the 4th. Or at the 3rd. And we drop into the main. Double drop into the main base. Production is being denied. Cure getting a lot done. Picks up, gets the hell out of there. As the Ravens are going to go down. Boys are being pulled, and can Bjorn break this? We can! We shut down the tanks, but we bleed out 20 SCVs. Was this worth it? At least we can go back to mining, but Cure has a massive economic lead. He's up 20 workers. And Cure, he's reinforcing. And it's on Bjorn to be in position. Again, this southern base looking a bit exposed. Cure, where we headed? Scans, does spot the army. Bjorn rotating back towards his 3rd. Oh! And they do spot each other. Tanks do siege. Yeah, we're going to be stimming on forward. Big tank shots going off, and it looks like Bjorn, he will take the better end of this. Yeah, it gets on top of the tanks. Gets both of them. And Bjorn does hold. Does hold. This time was able to keep up with Cure. Cure has to back up. And now we can kind of take stock here. Bjorn still recovering in the economy. 2-2 is done for Bjorn. Again, the upgrade lead probably was a big factor in that. Ooh, as +2 is delayed. Yeah, +2 armor was heavily delayed there for Cure. So, rough fight to take. Bjorn with the better Marines. Loading up his tanks. Boosting on forward. Does boost forward, and he will cut Cure off. Yeah, he gets here in time. Tank shots going up. Beyond out-positioning Cure, and Curie's just zoned away from his own planetary. At the same time, though, Curie goes in for a big counterattack. Oh my god, 16 SCVs go down. The boys are pulled. And it looks like with the upgrade advantage here, Beyond should barely clean this up, but he lost a lot in the process. We got a very messy game here. Both players sustaining losses. Now, what's important is that Beyond did clean up the army, and Cure is having a hard time dealing with the army of Beyond. Yeah, big tank volleys going off. The base barely does survive. There we go. The boys are being pulled. We collapse on this position, and Curie should break free. Oh god, it's a brutal trade, but we do barely do it. A bit of an anti-timing. 2-2 finishing up in 10 seconds. Is now finishing up, is now done. So upgrades are evening up. And is Beyond Scout? He didn't see the base, but he sees the sensor tower. So he should be aware that a base has been taken. 4 base versus 4 base. 3-3 on the way for Beyond, so we will have a bit of an upgrade timing. Looking at the units here, we have comparable tank counts. Beyond, of course, has the lead in Marines, because it's Beyond. He has to. Oh, Beyond missing out on this triple drop, though. He's going for the Zonaga. Under control of Cure. Triple drop is coming in. This base looking very exposed. Beyond is out in the center. He's towards the left-hand side, but he's not back at home. As both of these are orbitals, I just realized Beyond being so greedy. This 4th is an orbital. I say that. The 4th is actually the main. Oh, sorry. The main is being floated over as the 5th. Nothing but orbitals. Let's go. I mean, that's how we can afford all the Marines. We catch a tank. Army's moving out. Once the army does move out, that should be the trigger point here for Cure. Goes in with the triple drop. SCVs are going down. We have some reinforcements. We have some units coming out from the production end. Do we get the CC? We don't! The base lives! Beyond will hold at the same time across the map. We run into a tank line. Cure bleeding out too much, and Beyond is max. He's up 30 supply. Now is the time to push. As the drop play has been dealt with, Beyond can move out. Even catching the Medivacs. He gets both. Now, when it comes to Cure's army, Cure does have a tank lead. He has more tanks, he has Liberators. Beyond is up to 95 Marines. Beyond doesn't have any Vikings, 0 Vikings, 0 Liberators. He's down in tanks, but what does he have? He has the man with gun, and that is all that matters. He has more Marines, and 3-3 is finishing up soon. Beyond should calm down. I feel like we need to calm down a little bit. We need to wait for 3-3. Again, that's going to be a big power spike for Beyond. Not too sure if it's going to be the wisest of moves to go in prematurely, but, I mean, we're going for the drop. We're setting up for a drop at least. There we go. Upgrades are finishing up in 10 seconds. Drop going straight for that natural. Cure in position. Yeah, he cleans up the Marines. But again, this is also a big distraction because Beyond's main army pushing right through the center. We catch some tanks. Drop does unload. Tanks are going down. Beyond pulling Cure apart, and he has 3-3. Yeah, we have the concave, we have the upgrades. The Marines, they will win the fight here for Beyond. At the same time, does catch the libs. And yeah, Beyond, he's snowballing out of control. He's pulling Cure apart. He just cannot keep up. Not anymore. Not now that Beyond has found his stride. They're denying the upgrades. Taking down the armory. And what can Cure do? Oof. Don't end up losing one of those tanks. We symboled forward, we take down the planetary and the entire mineral line. SCVs are going down. Meanwhile, in the main base, it looks like Cure has finally regained control. Shuts down the Marines. Cure still technically on 4 bases. I guess on 3. But again, Curie just can't engage with this army. Not anymore. And Beyond, he's just swallowing up the map. He's just mass expanding, taking every base he can. Still maxed out. Stims on forward. Gets on top of the tanks once again. he gets another 3 tanks. Boosting on into the main. Looks like he's going to be a little bit wasteful here, and this drop should be cleaned up. But again, we're just distracting the army. We're dragging Cure into the main while we push out towards the left-hand side, towards the fresh mining base of Cure. He scans, he sees no tanks, no marines, nothing in position. We do run into the army, though. Ooh. Big tank shots. Bjorn has to be careful here, as he's going to bleed out some tanks. Did you get picked off? Upgrades, they have evened up between both marines, or between both armies. We have 3-3 all around. And yeah, Bjorn, he has to just take this slow and steady. Just calm things down. As Cure is all in. It's all or nothing for Cure. He breaks through the line, gets on top of the tanks once again. But you can see the Cure, he's just bleeding out units. He's running out of supply, running out of army. And we're still making 16 marines at a time. Let's go. His base is going to go down. I mean, again, Cure, this push is getting damage done. The problem is the supply here. The problem is that Cure just cannot sustain himself. It's actually very similar to last game, but the roles were reversed. The roles, they were reversed. Yes, the swarm of marines stims on forward. We just engulf the army. And we break on through. GG gets called. Bjorn takes a 2-1 lead in our best of 7 show match. GG. Let's go. Whew. But to be fair, this was not the easiest of games. This was very back and forth. There were moments for both players. There were good moments and solid moments for both Cure and Bjorn. Very back and forth, which is really what we want. We want this to be, you know, an evenly matched show match. That's why we did pit them against each other. We want this to go the distance. In an ideal world, we get an ace match. Can we get there? We'll see. So far, we've been back and forth. So far, we've been trading maps. If all holds true, that means it's Cure's turn to win. It's it would be Cure's turn, but we'll see. We'll see if Cure can fight back, or if Bjorn extends his lead. As we're going to be loading into Solaris. Here we go. Bjorn is world rank 8, Cure's world rank 10. When it comes to Terrans in Korea, I think they're pretty comparable, right? When we think of the top Terrans in Korea, I feel like we would say... It's hard to say. I would say top 3 would be Maru, Cure, and Bjorn. I think I would say in that order, Maru, Cure, and Bjorn. I tentatively say that because Gumiho is always a wild card, right? Like, Gumiho is very inconsistent. Like, yo, when Gumiho pops up, he pops up. But it's, he does kind of shake the hierarchy up quite a bit, I feel. Regardless, they're all amazing at what they do. And here we go. We're getting into game number 4 and spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Solaris. We have our South Korean Terran player, the Blue Terran representing Team Liquid, down in this series, but it's the best of 7. Plenty more games ahead of us. It is Cure. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the red Terran player representing Shopify Rebellion, leading the series 2-1. Can he extend it even further? It is Bjorn. Here we go. Remember, in the early game of game number 3, Cure did go for a proxy. If you recall, it was a while ago, but it was a 2-racks opener with a proxy across the map. This time, no proxy whatsoever. It's going to be a double gas opener at a Cure, double gas at a Bjorn. This is going to be a stark contrast to what we saw last game, where Bjorn went for something more economic, and it makes sense. Solaris is known for its aggression. Because of these speed zones, it doesn't take too long to get across the map at all, and it is not uncommon to go for proxies either. So again, we're going to be going for a faster factory instead. A bit of a more aggressive and safer opener for both players. So double gas into our factories. We spoke about this earlier, but something interesting so far in this series is that with a double gas opener, this can lead into reactored cyclone production, and Cure has been embracing it. Cure, he has been embracing the Reactor Cyclone play quite often in this series. Bjorn has done it once. He hasn't done it at all. It's always been faster tank production from Bjorn. I mean, faster tanks into faster stim into Mass Marine, of course. But Bjorn, he's been skipping the Cyclone phase of the game. He's been avoiding the Cyclone v Cyclone, and I don't blame him. There are players like Clem that embrace it, like Clem and Cure. They're both very fond of going Reactor Cyclone. Clearly, at least in this series, Bjorn has been avoiding it entirely. So we'll see if he does end up embracing it at all, or if he just does what he's been doing. We'll see. CCs are on the way. We do keep the reactor on the racks, actually. Okay, so this is more old school. So last patch, before the Cyclone change, this was a lot more common. Reactored Reapers and Hellions. We should be pushing out with, I would say, around 3 to 4 Reapers and an amass amount of Hellions. Going to be getting across the map, asserting ourselves, looking for some economic damage. Meanwhile, Bjorn has the defensive Cyclone. Cyclone is out. There's the Tech Lab on the way, not the reactor, so it looks like, once again, faster tanks from Bjorn. The army has arrived. We should delay the CC. We barely do not. Nice dodges out of Bjorn. Oh my god. Does avoid those KDA charges. Meanwhile, we have 4 Reapers and 2 Hellions. That is where we're cutting production. But again, Cure, the goal here of this kind of army is to break through, is to get some SCV damage. Maybe get on top of the Cyclone, if at all possible. Oh, as we do get the SCV, but the CC finishes. The base finishes just in time. Behind this, Reacted Cyclones, as we've seen every game from Cure. He has been committing here to his Cyclone production. Meanwhile, Bjorn going for the fast tanks. Ooh, but Bjorn does spice it up a little bit. Instead of going tank into Raven, it is tank into Banshee. Let's go. Now, this is something that both Maru and Bjorn have been mixing in TVTs. It shouldn't be like mass Banshee. It should be like 1, maybe 2, but usually like 1 Banshee. It just gets across the map, and it can do a surprising amount of damage. As we are not investing into Cloak. That is something that the 2 Terran brothers have been whipping out from time to time. There we go. Cyclone's going to be reinforcing across the map. They're heading out with that drop. Raven production and Disable is on the way here for Cure. Interference Matrix. And as we mentioned, Bjorn, he only makes the 1 Raven, then into medevac production. I assumed it would be Raven, but into medevacs. Anyway, here we go. The Cyclones, they have arrived. And can Cure break this? Ooh, tank shots go off. Oh my god. Yeah, tanks are in position. 1 in the natural, 1 in the main base, and we will not be broken. Again, this is the strength of going for fast tanks, is that your defensive position here is so powerful. And it does mean, as we've mentioned a couple of times so far, it does mean that we have no map control. It means that Cure can expand on location, and Bjorn is stuck at home for the most part. But that's where the Raven comes in. Sorry, that's where the Banshee comes in. Because we can slip in, we can harass. Bjorn is going to be stuck at home for the next minute or so. And we'll see what Cure can do with that. As the Banshee slips in, we get 1 SCV. Only a singular SCV for now. We're going to be keeping some of the supply tied up in the main. At the same time, Bjorn, he breaks out of his contain. Does break out, does shut down the Cyclone. And Bjorn is just looking to establish his own third, as his third base is just over halfway done. Cure, by the way, should have his as well. As the Banshee does come back in. Gets another SCV. Only 2, though. Not entirely worth it for Bjorn. He at least forced a couple of Cyclones to stay at home, but yeah, that Banshee was a little bit lackluster. Meanwhile, Cure has been hyper-aggressive this game. And if I'm not mistaken, the aggression does continue here. I'm a little bit shocked to see no third. No third yet from Cure. I'm not ruling it out yet, but we should be seeing it soon here. Otherwise, we might just go for a +1 timing. Drop slips into the main. It's going to delay some of the production. Getting 2 SCVs. Not bad. Not bad at all. Yeah, we do see Cure just being as active as possible. Has he seen the third? He has not. He has not seen the third base, but upon seeing the production still being produced, he should know that there is a third. There is a third behind this. Marine drops comes in. We get a couple of workers. Viking shut this down. And again, especially with 2 more Raxes on the way, we're sending it. Cure, he is committed. We're moving out across the map. What do we have to work with? Okay, we have 2 Ravens. We have 2 tanks. We have a massive amount of Cyclones. I was checking to see if we pull the boys with this. Not gonna lie. Not quite, not quite. But again, Curie's sending everything across the map. 3rd base has been taken. And Cure, he needs to at least get a kill. Or at least deny the 3rd and contain his opponent. And Cure needs to give himself room to expand and take his own 3rd. There we go. 3rd base is denied. It's floating back in. Quick move out of Beyond. As soon as he saw the army moving out, did evacuate. Now, Beyond does have a tank lead, but Cure, he has Ravens. And they're disables. Disables on 3 of those tanks. We still on forward. We take down 1 of the tanks. We take down a 2nd as well. 2 tanks fall. We do have a good position on the high ground. But Cure, he is gaining ground. It gets 3 tanks in total. And Cure, he's all in. He's all in, by the way. He's making Vikings. Sorry, he's making Libs. Liberators are on the way. Tanks as well. Cure just rallying everything across the map. And his goal here, I'm pretty sure, is to break the natural. Not just to contain. Byan working on 2-2. Let's go. +2 attack on the way for Byan. Holding here on his 2 bases. Meanwhile, Cure, what's important is that he keeps his Ravens alive. The Ravens, they survived. And they're going to have enough energy once again to disable those tanks. To throw down those matrixes. Or to throw down the Matrix. So Byan is in a bit of trouble. Byan, he has a comparable Marine count. Comparable supply. Viking into the main. Forces the Unsiege. Oh, sorry. Liberator in the main. Forces the Unsiege. And there's a disable. We get 2 of the tanks. We force a stim out of Byan. Yeah, rough fights and tanks are going to fall. Cure, he breaks the siege line. He breaks the siege line of tanks. He's pushing on forward with his own. And Byan, we're down to 2 tanks left. 2 tanks remaining. Cure again trying to break this. He gets another tank on the low ground. Force lift up. The boys are being pulled. It's all or nothing for Byan. Oof. And he doesn't commit. There's 1 tank left on the high ground and it's going to fall. Yeah, and Byan, it's a last-ditch effort. He has to break through. And he barely gets through some of those tanks, but there's just too much here. There's too much for Cure. As he breaks the defensive position, 32 SCVs go down. And Cure has done it. He's broken Byan. Again, Byan, he had a really good response overall. Like, he did back off from the 3rd. He had a good defensive line of tanks. But he didn't have enough. GG gets called. Cure, he will tie things up 2-2. We haven't even scored. GG. Cure, he pulls off the 2 base all in. Again, like, there was a moment there where, like, I was feeling very uneasy. I was like, yo, where's the 3rd? Like, what's going on? It's like, oh, I see. Just a straight up 2 base all in. Did break Byan. It was a tight defense there, but again, it was brutal there, especially with the disables, with those Ravens. As he was able to initially kill, I think it was 2 tanks first and then 3 tanks thereafter. Just working through that tank count. And now we're getting into game number 5. Let's go. We're getting into game 5. Other things that kind of came into play there as well is, again, the lack of really value out of that Banshee. The Banshee didn't really... It killed 2 SCVs. Killed 2 workers. And remember, because we went for the Banshee, that meant no Raven, right? No Raven for Byan. He had no counter disables of his own as a result. And he was punished for his more greedy build as well, as he did rush into that 3rd. A 3rd that never really came into play, unfortunately. I mean, he was able to mule, sure, but not much more than that. And here we go. We're getting into game number 5. We're going to be loading into Oceanborn. And so far, this series, it has been everything that I ever wanted so far. But can we go the distance? Can we make it to the ace match? Can we go to game 7? We're almost there. As here we go, spawning in the top left-hand corner of Oceanborn, we have our South Korean Terran player, the Blue Terran representing Team Liquid, fighting back and tying the series up once again. It is Cure. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have as opponent, we have the South Korean Terran player, the Red Terran representing Shopify Rebellion, as he is once again up against a proxy, a much more committed one this time. Let's go. It is Byun. This time it is not one proxy Rax. This time it is two. It is going to be it is a proxy 2 Rax here out of Cure, 2 Rax Reaper from our Blue Terran. Byun, if he goes for a Rax Expand, okay, we're good. I was going to say, if he goes for a Rax Expand, he's going to be in some trouble, but it's going to be a double gas opener out of Byun. What does this mean? Faster Factory, delayed CC. Faster Factory means faster Hellion, means a cleaner defense. Byun should be okay against this, as long as he doesn't miscontrol early on. There's going to be a bit of a back and forth here, and there is going to be a window where Cure has a Reaper advantage, and he's going to need to kill the Reaper of Byun, but for the most part, we should transition out of this. This proxy 2 Rax from Cure is not all in. This is not an all in. If Byun defends, Cure, he can just back off and expand and take a factory and get into a longer game. Oh, my apologies, as I assumed it was going to be 2 Rax Reaper. My apologies. We are that much more committed. We are going for Tech Labs. We're going for Proxy Marauder. Cure. So, I've seen Cure do this a lot against Protoss. Cure, he is quite fond of this in TVP. I don't see this too often in TVT though, so very interesting. We're going for Proxy Marauder here. Meanwhile, Byun, again, thankfully he did go for the faster factory. He is scouting here with his Reaper. He checks his natural. He's checking his third base. He's checking the center third location. I'm not so sure if he will come across this, though. Again, the Reaper is on the hunt. We check the northern third. We should be checking this triangular third as well, but going this far out is typically not done. And basically, we're going for Marauders, of course, and Bunkers as well. Bunkers are going to be on the way for Cure. Is going for the all-in. CC on the low ground. Cyclone is on the way. We're going to have to pull the boys. We're going to have to pull SCVs to defend against this. Yeah, we take control of the low ground. CC is denied. Is delayed. Boys are being pulled. And Byun has to buy time for the Cyclone. That's the name of the game right now. Buy time and keep our Reapers alive. So far, so good. Oh, the eBay is denied. SCVs go down. Cyclone is going to get targeted, and up, the Cyclone lives. Cyclone, it barely does live. We can repair it, and with this, we have held onto the main, but we force a cancel on the low ground. We force a cancel at the natural. Marauders are pushing forward again. They want that Cyclone. A tank is on the way. Bold move. Tank is in production. We're trying to camp the Rax at least. Sublime blocking Byun. Depot does live, though. The Depot does survive. Again, we have control of the high ground. Tank is halfway done. If we get this tank out, we can survive. We scan! We get the Cyclone. Big scan there from Cure. Gets the Cyclone, gets one of the Reapers, gets both. Yeah, Reapers are going down the Marines as well. Good trade here by Cure, but Byun, the tank has arrived. And with that, we have secured our position. The tank holds back at home. Cure is transitioning. Factory is on the way. Raxes are floating back home. And Cure, he traded well. You know, he was able to delay the CC. There's no backup base here for Byun, so economically, the players are even. I should say, economically, technically, Cure is ahead. Cure is getting a CC on location. Byun getting his own CC on the high ground. Now, what I will say here is that this high tank count can become a problem. For Cure, I mean. As we're going to be working towards eventually a push. And with these tanks, it's going to be difficult to defend for Cure. Tanks are going to be sieging. We're establishing ourselves. Getting into our 1-1-1. The game is going to be settling from here. Oh boy. We are going to be settling down. Again, I do believe there is a big power spike for Byun when he gets his medevacs. Like, once he gets his medevacs out, then we can push with tanks, with Marines, with a pretty terrifying army. And it's going to be a tight hold for Cure. As Byun is going to be prioritizing Raven production instead. Going for the Raven, going for The Interference Matrix. Cure getting his third... He's crazy! Cure getting his third CC on location, by the way. Double expanding. Very greedy here out of Cure. Meanwhile, Beyond doing something similar. Not as greedy as Cure, but now he starts up his own third CC in his main base. This tells us that we're probably not going to push out. This tells us that, mate, we're going to be stabilizing. We're calming down. Both players working on their thirds. Both players focusing on their economy. I do want to give the edge to Beyond, just because of his Ravens and higher tank counts as we're getting back into tank production here. This does mean that off of 2 bases, we're going to hit like a pretty brutal 5 tank push. Or like, we're going to get up to 5 tanks quite quickly here for Beyond. Cure, what are we working with? We have a couple of Cyclones to defend in the early game. We have some Ravens on the way. Continued Cyclone production. You know, it's what Cure's been opting for here in this series. For going the tanks, going for reactored Cyclones. This will give Cure some map control. But it means that in a head-on fight, Beyond is going to be favored. He's going to be favored in that head-on fight. Oh, never mind. Okay, we're getting back into what we do best. So I was getting ready for like a 5-tank push or a 5-tank timing. We get up to 3 tanks and now Stim. Rax is being thrown down. It looks like we're just getting into a normal game, to be honest. It looks like we're just stabilizing and getting into a regular game. Looks like we're not going for any kind of earlier pushes. From the side of Beyond, at least. He's just turtling up. And this is the same style that we've been seeing from Beyond throughout this series. You know, fast double E-base into fast double upgrades, so he will have the upgrade lead, as he did previously. Stim is finishing up, Raxes are getting up and running on these reactors. And we're just focusing on that bio army. Here we go. Double Raven harass here from Beyond. Likewise, Cure could go for some Cyclone harass himself. He's going to be staying at home. Going to be chilling. Going to be staying back at home. Ravens are going to be coming in. Head towards the bases. There are some Cyclones in position though. Yeah, Curie's ready for it. Does get the lock on. Raven! Raven goes down. Big pick off. Big overextension there by Beyond. At least he kills both Cyclones and 4 SCVs. And here we go. I was worried that we were going to saturate the third, and we are, but Beyond, he's pushing with his tanks. I do love it. He has a massive tank lead, but we have the Ravens. We have the Disables. Cure, he has what he needs to defend. Yeah, and Beyond backs off. He sees Ray. He's like, no, I'm good. Will retreats. Likewise, Cyclones going for a counterattack themselves. And we do catch the Cyclones. Yeah, one of them goes down. One of them does full. We clean up the tech labs. And with the sensor tower, yeah, we are just turtling up. Beyond was posturing with that move out, but again, didn't commit. Didn't like what he saw. Second Raven goes down. Yeah, big pick off there. As Beyond loses both Ravens. Which means Cure has a pretty substantial Raven lead. He has 2 with plenty of energy. This move out is going to be that much more threatening. Now, even though Cure is down in tanks, that doesn't matter. With the Raven, mate, you can have 0 tanks. You can still break through a siege line. We have all 5 tanks set up. Beyond going for a double drop. He's not at home to defend. Uh-oh. He's not at home to defend. Here come the Disables. We got 3, we got 4. 4 Disables do land, and Curie's coming in for the kill. Breaks through the tanks. We'll get on top of every single one. And Beyond, again, he's out of position. He was across the map. GG gets called. Cure takes a 3-2 lead in the series. GG. Oh, that was so unfortunate. Ay, ay, ay. Beyond, at that moment, happened to be going for the double drop across the map. Wasn't ready. To be fair, even if he was at home with those Marines, it would have been a tight defense. Again, because Beyond lost all of his Ravens, it still would have been a difficult hold. But, it would have he would have had a chance. He would have had a greater chance there to hold, and yeah, the killer instinct there by Cure. Also very fortunate that, again, happened to coincide with the drop play of Beyond. GG. Oh, my apologies. There we go. With that, Cure does have a 3-2 lead here, and Cure needs one more. Cure, he needs one more. Uno mas to take the entire series here and to become this week's Club NV X Duckling Showdown champion. Cure needs one more. Bjorn has to fight back here and now to force the ace match. The pressure is now on Bjorn. Oh boy. The pressure is on. Can he fight back? Can he bounce back? We know he can, but will he? Can he bring it out here and now on Hecate? And here we go, spawning in the top right-hand corner of Hecate, we have our South Korean Terran player, the Blue Terran representing Team Liquid. One game away from winning this entire show match, from winning this entire best of 7. It is Cure. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the Red Terran player representing Shovelfire Rebellion. He needs your energy. He needs your support in the chat to bounce back and to force the ace match, as we are once again sending out some SCVs. Oh boy. It is Bjorn. Now it's only one. We're not going for a proxy 2 racks this time. It is only going to be a singular proxy racks here from Cure. We saw this earlier today, so we have 1 racks back at home and 1 racks across the map. So it is a 2 racks, but it is less committed. Less committed here by Cure. Meanwhile, Bjorn is going for an economic opener. He's going for a racks expand. Means delayed factory, delayed Hellions. It means that Cure, he has a window here where he can pop off and he can get damage done. He can get ahead. So we roll the dice a little bit here, and Cure rolls well so far. But it will come down to the control. How well can we micro these Reapers? How good is our control going to be? Remember, the last time we saw this, I believe, was on Golden Aura, and Bjorn defended beautifully against it, at least initially. It did lead into Cure getting into Hellion and Cyclone production behind it. There's that CC on location, as we did mention. Again, only a single gas opener out of Bjorn. And the Reapers are going to be amassing. And hopefully Bjorn keeps his first Reaper back at home. He's going to be scouting for proxies, so he's going to check the 3rd base location. But the Reaper should stay at home, should not move out. As again, we're just checking some of the more common locations here towards the north before coming back. Reapers are moving in. Again, Bjorn, his Reaper is safe. Cure was hoping to catch it. He will get the SCV. SCV on the low ground goes down. We do delay the expansion. We get some damage done, and we're just waiting and trying to bait the army down onto the low ground. Factory is finishing. Hellions on the way. Reapers are getting damage done. Thankfully, Bjorn, again, he doesn't try to dance with this army yet. Now he's up to 2 Marines. Back at home, Cure going for the factory. Get a second gas. Ooh, and we force a cancel. Very nicely done. We force a cancel at the natural. Bjorn rebuilding here on the high ground. Again, because of the later factory, he just couldn't really fight earlier on. And with that, Cure, he takes a nice economic lead. Just like that, his opener does pay off. Does pay for itself, and now he gets a faster CC on location. Behind this, getting into his own Hellions. And Bjorn is going to have to try to recover from that. Or recover from this. Going for a faster medevac. Let's go. So we have drop play available. Bjorn, he can get across the map. With that drop, going for an add-on swap. Yo, we going for reactor cyclones for the first time? Bjorn, is that you? Let's go. Okay, for the first time this series, Bjorn, he embraces the Cyclone. Remember, this is something that he's been avoiding the entire best of 7. He's been going for a more tank-heavy into bio style, but now he does mix it up. Going for reactored Cyclones. Liberator is on the way. It's all about the harass. It's all about getting damage done. Bjorn headed towards the main. Cure, he instead is the one going for tank. It's it's a bit of a role reversal. So Cure is going for a tank heavy style. Meanwhile, Bjorn is going for mass cyclone. Here we go. The turns have table. Drop into the main. Gets an SCV. Gets one so far. The Reapers, they do engage. They do collapse on top of that Cyclone. But no anti-air. The drop will escape. CC is being landed. Drop threatening the natural. More tanks on the way. And so far, CranKy has held. Did bleed out a couple of SCVs. Meanwhile, Bjorn moving out with his ground army. Continuing Cyclone production, bear that in mind. Not stopping with his Cyclones, but again, Curious tank count is getting higher. He has one tank on the low ground, soon to have a tank on the high ground as well. Drop won't quite commit. Oh. Is forced back. And can Bjorn collapse on the natural? I mean, unfortunately, his Raven production is quite late, right? Because he went for the Liberator. Matrix still on the way for Bjorn. It's about to finish for Cure. Liberator has arrived. Is that going to be enough to break the tank? We go for it. Yeah, we siege up within range of the tank. The Marines, they still on forward. They move on forward. Yeah, we have the auto target. We focus down the Lib. Liberator does fall. And the tank holds. At the same time, we try to jump on top of the tank, but we cannot. And Cure defense. And Cure, he has quite a supply lead here. Working towards Stim. Beyond being forced back. And that's still a lot of Cyclones. You have to respect it. So you have to respect it here. Beyond behind this is going for a CC on location. Very greedy. See if Beyond can get away with it. Behind it, getting into double eBays. We've rotated away with our add-ons and we're going into Stim, going into Mass Marine. But Cure, he is pushing out. He's breaking free. No third base behind this, by the way. Now, pushing across this bridge is a little bit brutal, especially with... or in a TVT. But tank shot's going to be going off. Auto tower gets thrown down. And Curie makes it past the bridge. He's going to get 4 SCVs in the main base. Liberator going ham. Oh my god. 5 SCVs go down. And Cure forces his way up the ramp. Ravens are falling for both players. Cyclones are so low. And Cure, his goal here is to break that natural. Has a tank lead. Gets the bunker. SCVs are repairing. I believe Cure has not seen the third. Doesn't know. Doesn't know about the third base. The Raven needs a little bit more time for that energy. For that disable. As Cure doesn't need any time at all. He goes to disable. The boys are being pulled. They're being pulled into a tank line. And so many SCVs are going to be going down. Good target firing here out of Cure. Does focus on the Cyclones. And Cure snowballing out of control. He has too much. He cleans up 25 SCVs. And Bjorn's up against the wall. And he doesn't have any disables at all. He has Vikings. What can they do? What can they do, Bobby? Bjorn trying to hold on. But so much is working against him. The Vikings land. Once again, SCVs are pulled. But we're running out of steam. We're running out of Marines. And Cure, he just rallies everything across the map. And now he gets eyes on the third TC. It's already in orbital, so it's already up and running. It should live. It should survive. Ooh, oh my god. Massive tank shot goes off. But Cure, he does at least deny mining. As he does contain his opponents, and Cure is expanding, taking his own third base. Tank line is looking solid. Oh, another tank falls for Bjorn. Tanks he can't afford to lose. He's down to 1 tank. He's down to 10 Marines. Doing what he can. He has the upgrade lead, I guess. But because there's only 1 tank, Cure, he can just outmaneuver the army. And threaten with drop play. Oh. So can Bjorn. Again, trying to hold on, but the base is under fire. It's getting low. And Cure, he's getting closer and closer. Bjorn, oh, goes to the drop. Tries to go for the drop here. The base on fire. We gotta go. Oh, we try to pull the trigger. The medevac goes down. Bjorn, he's running out of tricks. He's running out of moves. The base is gonna fall. The repairs are just barely not enough. SCVs are now under fire. Viking doing what it can. Another tank arrives. And yeah, Cure, his army's just getting larger and larger. He goes for it. He pulls the trigger. Goes for the stim. Boys are being pulled. We got one tank. But there's just an overwhelming blue Terran army. GG gets called. Cure, he has too much. And Cure will take the series 4-2. Becoming this week's Club NV X Duckling Showdown champion. GG. GG, well played. Back to back here. Cure. This wasn't the first time that he beats Bjorn this week. He, of course, does take down Bjorn here in the best of 7. Cure will take it here. But if you were here for it a couple of days ago, over the weekend, Cure also played against Bjorn in the finals of KSL, in the finals of the Korean StarCraft League, and Cure also beat Bjorn in those finals in a best of 5, 3-1. So back-to-back, Cure has been looking quite dominant here over Bjorn. Like, Bjorn has his moments. As we saw, like, yo, give Bjorn, like, a 4-base economy. Give him Mass Marine. Give Bjorn, like, a solid economy, a solid base count. Put him in the mid game, put him in the late game, and Bjorn can pop off. He can pop off. He can go to town. He can pull Cure apart. Only if he gets there, though. That's the thing. He has to get there first. And getting there is the problem, as Cure was a lot more diverse in his play. We saw a lot of proxies, we saw a lot of cheese, we saw proxy Reaper, we saw proxy Marauder out of Cure, and these builds didn't necessarily win him the game, but they gave him an edge. They gave him a lead at times that he was able to flex and snowball from there. Like this map, for example, where Cure did open up double Reaper. If you remember, this game 6, if I recall correctly, game 6, Cure here opened up proxy Reaper. He was able to force a cancel at the natural, and despite the fact that Bjorn's opener was designed to be economic, Cure suddenly took that away from him. He stripped that away, and he was able to take an economic lead and gain some momentum from that. And suddenly Bjorn, there was a lot more pressure on Bjorn to do some counter damage, and that's why Bjorn went for some medevac drops. He went for Raven harass. Like, Bjorn was being very active across the map that game, and that activity, that aggression, didn't really come to fruition. It kind of fell on its face. Cure, he defended, he was building up a tank count, and snowballed out of control with the tank lead. GG, well played. Congratulations here to Cure for taking the series. My condolences to Bjorn. Again, though, Bjorn is an amazing player, and this series wouldn't have been as entertaining as it was if these players weren't so evenly matched and so close in skill. Obviously, they have different playstyles, which is another good thing. They do have their own way of approaching the TVT matchup. Bjorn with Mass Marine and Cure with a much more standard approach, aside from the proxies he was mixing in. And yeah, it was great. It was beautiful. GG. GG, well played. It was an amazing series here. Congratulations to Cure, and a big shout out to Bjorn as well, because for those who don't know, both players do come out with, with some earnings here. It was 150 USD for first place. It was 50 USD for second. So even though Bjorn does take a loss here, he will still earn some prize money. So again, we do still give him something for his time and for his performance. So GG. GG, well played. With that, I hope everyone enjoyed themselves. And if you enjoyed this Showmatch series, one, I apologize for the stream going down earlier. The stream went down during game 1, so I do apologize for that. We'll try to make sure that doesn't happen again. But outside of that, if you enjoyed this series, this was the 7th Showmatch, and this is a new weekly Showmatch series. The Club NV X Duckling Showdown, we've been running it since January, since the start of the year. So we're relatively new here when it comes to tournament show matches overall. But every week we have you covered with some kind of show matches. This week we had a best of 7. Last week we had a GSL group. Last week we had a GSL group with Gumiho, Nightmare, Bunny, and Creator. And they were all best of 5s. it was a lot. It was like a 6-hour cast. It was. But it was great. If you were here for it, you would know we had some banger matches, some very, very back and forth, and even late game with Bunny getting involved, with Nightmare as well. It was a beautiful day of StarCraft. But last week we had a GSL group. with those 4 players. A week before that, we had some more individual show matches. We had a PvP between Classic and Nightmare. The week before that, we had a round robin not round robin. We had a Swiss format group with Hero, Cure, Shin, Nightmare, DRG, Creator, Quanta, and Mondo. We had 8 players with a Swiss format group. Again, we're getting creative with the formats, and we're more than happy to just mix it up every week. Sometimes it's best of 7, sometimes it's a group, sometimes it's a different group. We'll try to spice it up and bring you something different and keep things fresh. Keep things fresh whenever we can. A big shout out to Club NV, by the way. A big shout out if you are unfamiliar. Club NV is a Korean team, or they used to be a big Korean team. They used to be Team NV. Now they are Club NV, as they don't really have the funds to sponsor a team anymore. They can't, pay the salaries for a full roster. Nowadays, they really only mainly support Creator. Creator is still on Club NV, but they can't really afford to, again, salary a larger roster. So what do they do instead? They sponsor show matches. They found another way to give to the Korean scene and to the StarCraft community in another way in these weekly show matches instead. So again, it's a bit of a shame that their team isn't what it once was when it comes to their roster and competing in WTL and competing in team leagues. But at least they're still willing to invest and willing to share the love and share the support here in StarCraft. So much love to Club NV, and these show matches have been a lot of fun. They've been very entertaining. It's been beautiful. GG. Outside of that, we're done for the day. Only a singular best of 7. We're not going to go on any longer than that. Our next broadcast is going to be tomorrow, I believe. Let me just double check. Yes, tomorrow's going to be our next broadcast. In less than 24 hours, we're going to be live with the Stars War 11 Korean qualifier. Yeah, you heard right. It's like, what? Star Wars? No. That's copyrighted. we can't say Star Wars. It's Stars War. Basically, there's the next premiere event. We just wrapped up with IEM Katowice. We wrapped up with Masters Coliseum before that. The next big premiere offline event is an event happening in China. It's going to be called Stars War, number 11. So this event has been held in the past. It has been on a hiatus for a couple of years, but recently it has returned. And there are going to be regional qualifiers for the next couple of weeks. There's going to be qualifiers for Korea, qualifiers for Europe, for Americas, for Asia, and closed qualifiers as well. So basically, this month, the month of March, is full of qualifiers, week after week after week after week, non-stop qualifiers here, and we're going to be bringing them to you live on the CranKy Ducklings. From the qualifiers, it's going to lead into the main event, and the playoffs of the main event, not the entirety of the main event, but I think it's like top 8. Top 8 in the main event will be flown to the venue, flown to the offline event itself with a crowd, with a stage, with all that good stuff. And they're going to be competing, I believe, in April. I believe it's going to be in April. Could be mistaken with the dates. But regardless, we do have another big premiere event. So it's going to be Stars War up next. And I think after that, it's going to be DreamHack Spring. It's going to be ESL Master Spring, which is DreamHack Dallas. Is it Dallas or Houston? I keep forgetting. Maybe someone in the chat knows. But after Stars War, the next big premiere event for StarCraft is going to be the DreamHack in Texas. DreamHack Texas, I'll call it that. There we go, Dallas. There we go. Thank you. It could be called War Stars. Oh, good. Go see Stars War. Yeah, there you go. Yes, DreamHack Dallas. That's it. But that's going to be after, I think the month after Stars War. So premiere events back to back to back. Big stuff happening here in StarCraft. And get involved. Keep an eye out on it. Mark your calendars and we'll be there for it. End of May. There you go. End of May. So I believe Stars War is in April. And of course, Dallas is going to be end of May. So plenty of StarCraft to come. Plenty coming. But yeah, with that, thanks so much for watching. Thank you so much for the support. Stick around. We're going to be giving another StarCraft streamer a raid. Not too sure who. Let's quickly double check here. Who's streaming right now? Skillus is streaming, but he's got a lot of viewers. Senor Sadsack is streaming. Shin, aka Ragnarok, is streaming. Let's go. Who else? Who else can we raid? I'm leaning towards Shin, right? Give some love to Ragnarok. He can speak English. Make him speak English. He's a great Korean Zerg player. If you don't know him, Malzy's streaming. I think he's doing a replay cast. We'll find someone. We'll find someone. Oh right, predictions. Oh my god, I almost forgot. Predictions, papi. There we go. But yeah, with that, we'll see you guys tomorrow for the Korean qualifiers. And until then, if you only want some more Club and VX Duckling Showdown action, we'll see you guys next week for that as well. Until then, hasta luego. Ciao, papa, ciao. Thanks for watching. You can follow us on Twitch, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Discord, Twitter as well. We're on all the social medias. We have a YouTube channel. You can support us on Patreon! Exclamation mark. Socials in the chat. We have a Patreon. We have a YouTube. We have all things CranKy Ducklings. Check us out if you're interested. Otherwise, we'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye. Bye. Hasta luego. Hasta luego.